I want to discuss kind of a sad story and a little bit of a worrying story that's coming up out of kind of. Let me explain what's happening. So, a pro-life man who is Catholic, I believe in Pennsylvania. Um, what he normally does is I believe every Wednesday, he goes to Philadelphia, usually with his oldest son, who is 12, and they basically pray. They speak with people that are going into abortion clinics. They give free counseling. If it's like, hey, what if we gave you a pro life option, maybe adoption instead of abortion? These are things that have gone on for decades out in front of um, abortion clinics because people who are pro life believe that this is murder, and I am one of those people. I believe that abortion is murder. So it would actually absolutely make sense as to why this person uh, decided, and his name is Mark Hoke, decided that he needed to do this to go and to give options for mothers, expectant mothers, to avoid abortion, to avoid killing an innocent person. So what is the story? What is so interesting about this? Like, again, this happens all the time. So what makes this story so different? Well, apparently, let's go ahead and read the information, and I'll explain what's going on. This is from the New York Post. Pennsylvania pro-life activist arrested by FBI and charged with assaulting a clinic escort. A Catholic pro-life activist was arrested Friday at his rural Pennsylvania home and charged with physically assaulting a Planned Parenthood clinic escort last year. Mark Hoke, 48, of I have Kentnersville, Pennsylvania. That's my best guess. And it is co-founder and president of the Kingsmen, a Catholic ministry that aims to spiritually mentor young Catholic men. Hoke's wife, Ryan Marie, told Catholic News Agency that a SWAT team of about 25 came to my house with about 15 vehicles and started pounding on our door. They said they were going to break it in if he didn't open it. And then they had about 5 guns pointed at my husband and myself, and basically at my kids. A spokesperson with the Philadelphia office of the FBI pushed back against the SWAT team claim, telling Fox News Digital, there are inaccurate claims being made regarding the arrest of Mark Hoke. No SWAT team or SWAT operators were involved. FBI agents knocked on Mr. Hoke's front door, identified themselves as FBI agents, and asked him to exit the residence. He did so and was taken into custody without incident pursuant to an indictment. The spokesperson did not respond to a follow-up question from Fox News Digital regarding the accuracy of the report that up to 25 agents were involved in the arrest. U.S. Attorney Jacqueline C. Romero announced Friday that Hoke had been charged by indictment with violation of the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, FACE Act. The law makes it a federal crime to use force with the intent to injure, intimidate, and interfere with anyone because that person is a provider of reproductive health care. Prosecutors say Hoke assaulted a 72-year-old man identified in the indictment as BL outside the Planned Parenthood Elizabeth Black Health Center in Philadelphia on October 13th, 2021. According to a Justice Department press release, BL was attempting to escort 2 patients exiting the clinic when the defendant forcefully shoved BL to the ground. In a second incident, Hoke is accused of verbally confronting BL and forcefully shoving him to the ground outside the Planned Parenthood Center, causing injuries that required medical attention. Assault is always a serious offense, and under the FACE Act, if the victim is targeted because of their association with a reproductive health care clinic, it is a federal crime, Romero said. Our office and the Department of Justice are committed to prosecuting crimes which threaten the safety and rights of all individuals. Put simply, violence is never the answer, said Jacqueline McGuire, who is special agent in charge of the FBI's Philadelphia division. Violating the FACE Act by committing a physical assault is a serious crime for which the FBI will work to hold offenders accountable. Hoke's wife told the website LifeSite News that her husband drove 2 hours south every Wednesday to speak outside of abortion clinics for 6 to 8 hours at a time, and at times would bring their 12-year-old son. She contended that her husband had shoved a man who had gotten into the personal space of her son and said obscene things about Hoke. She told the outlet that the man tried to sue her husband, but the district court in Philadelphia threw out the case earlier this summer, and it was picked up again by Merrick Garland's Department of Justice. Fox News reached out to the DOJ for comment. If convicted, Hoke faces a maximum sentence of 11 years in prison, 3 years of supervised release, and fines of up to $350,000 of online court records do not list an attorney who could speak on Hoke's behalf. So, let's go back over. What did we just read? There was a lot in there. So, Hoke is a pro-life activist and a man who is in charge of a ministry to help other Catholic men to basically grow up, to mature, to be godly men, to be good men of society. That's what the whole ministry is for. But on Wednesdays, he goes to Philadelphia and basically stands in front of abortion clinics and preaches, speaks, prays for, speaks with, and otherwise doesn't seem to interfere with the function of the abortion clinic, which is the law, but simply gives an alternative view of saving the life of the child. Now, many people would argue that this is wrong, that it is abusive, that it's intimidating, and that it scares women off, and they're not. If you believe that this is murder, can you honestly say that this is wrong? I do not think you can. And since I believe it's murder, I will not say it is wrong. I have often told you that I am not unbiased, and I will let you know my biases. I am pro-life. I believe that all people have the right to live. They have the right to life. You do not have the right to take an innocent person's life from them. And this child is the most innocent of all because they have committed no actions at all to deserve death. Now, the conflicting stories here that we have right now is that the FBI, the federal government, claims that on 2 incidences that the subject, Hoke, pushed an elderly escort from the in front of the clinic who was escorting women out of the clinic or to the clinic, pushed this person and caused injuries that needed medical attention. Now, we know of at least one event that was corroborated by Mark Hoke's wife. And the story that they're giving is that the man not only wasn't escorting anyone, maybe he had escorted, but he wasn't at the time because he was standing in the face of a 12-year-old screaming obscenities and vulgar language about his father. Now, I don't know about you, but if my child was being threatened like that, and I will say threatened, because if this story is true, that this is what happened, that would be a threat. Someone was in your personal space screaming at you that's physically threatening you, especially if you're an adult and this is a 12-year-old child, right? Now, I understand that this is a 70-something-year-old adult, but still, it's an adult. And most kids are taught that you respect adults and that adults have authority. So this is absolutely intimidation at the very least. Now, the father, I could see absolutely stepping in between the son and this man who is shouting obscenities at the child. I do not know if that's what happened or if he genuinely did just shove him onto the ground. I don't know. There's no video evidence there. It's all going to trial. But what I do know is this. There wasn't even enough evidence to civilly sue the guy. And what I mean by that is that civil lawsuits for money, so suits for money and not for criminal charges, are relatively and notoriously easy to win compared to a criminal trial, meaning that it takes a lot less evidence to say, yeah, you should pay money. Yep, you probably did this, than it does to say that you broke a law. And they didn't even have enough evidence to say that he should be sued The entire case was thrown out and dismissed by the judge. So what am I missing? If the case didn't have enough evidence to even get money out of, money, again, a super duper low threshold is used in civil lawsuits as compared to criminal cases. The civil lawsuit didn't have enough evidence to meet that threshold and was thrown out. So what evidence is there now that we've missed, that we've not been told about, that warrants this arrest? Now, whether or not it warrants the arrest, what I want to know is what evidence is warranting the use of 25 to 30 heavily armed federal agents bashing on the door at 7 a.m, scaring the bejeebus out of people, terrorizing the kids, the 7 kids, of which in another story, you hear that they actually did note that they said, hey, look, I'm opening the door, but my kids are here. I need you, you're freaking them out. Please, I'm opening the door. That's what they said that happened. They opened the door. They would not give them the warrant for the arrest. They said, we're taking you with or without a warrant. The mother argued and said, that's kidnapping. You can't do that. So then they waited while someone went out to the car to get the warrant and show it to them. When they showed the warrant, they then, the husband asked that the wife go up and get his shoes and a coat and things like that to prepare him to go outside. Well, guess what? Before she could get back, they had already taken him to the car and locked him in. Now, I do not know, because it does not say in the story, as to whether she was able to give him those items or not, but they drove off soon after. What we know is this. This man, who doesn't seem to have any other criminal background that we're aware of, this is the first offense ever of this taking place. A district court already threw the case out and said that this is not a thing. There's nothing here. Go away. Now the federal government, as soon as that case was thrown out, for lack of evidence, the federal government takes up this case and to prosecute this man. Now, this man may be guilty. I'm not saying he's not. I don't have that evidence yet. But what I can say is that this is absolutely evidence of selective prosecution. Because this man, who again has done nothing that I can see that is, at the very least, nothing that is warranting this kind of reaction, I can't see how this is warranted. I don't see how this is okay. In fact, Senator Josh Hawley has written a letter to the DOJ demanding explanation for what has happened and why this is being done. What we know is that it's very, very unusual for this many heavily armed officers to raid a house for something so minor as this. And I do mean minor. It is a minor crime that he is being accused of. So much to the point that the wife said that once the officers read the warrant, the accused charged crimes, that they changed their demeanor as though they felt ashamed of how they had acted. Now, again, I don't know that that's what happened. I don't know that. But until we have evidence otherwise, I mean, these are the only people that were there. The government refuses to deny that there were 25 to 30 officers there, heavily armed, and going after them. Now, they said that it wasn't SWAT team, and that's fine. You can be not SWAT and still be heavily armed and still have 25 to 30 people. These are things that can be both true at the same time. Now, what else do we know? Well, not much. This is a story that we're going to have to pay close attention to see where we go from here, because honestly, I don't know how well this is going to end for anybody. I do think that this is a very, very dangerous precedent to set, that it's okay to go after people with small armies, for small crimes, and yet not doing anything about the major crimes that are taking place all over the country. We've all seen the crime rate rising. We've all seen the absolute terror that is these major cities. And yet there are no federal investigations into that. That's not taking place. They're not prosecuting many, many crimes that we've seen that there's evidence of. They're not prosecuting it. And yet they're prosecuting this man. Again, the evidence may be there. And if it is, I will be the first to tell you as soon as I find out. But this is a very startling, if nothing else, very startling development that's taking place.